Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football, continuing to take a look at some of the bigger games on the Week 3 slate. One that's kind of flying under the radar. A lot of people talking about Texas A&M Miami, Penn State Auburn. A really big cross-conference matchup as the Texas Tech Red Raiders go on the road to take on a team that a lot of people really like in the NC State Wolfpack. Two teams we talked about in the offseason. Texas Tech, one of my sleeper teams. Not necessarily to go out and win the Big 12, but a team that is going to be very competitive or more competitive than people think in the Big 12. And then an NC State team that a lot of people have winning the ACC. And quite frankly, how DJU and Clemson have looked early on, there's an opening window. Like, you don't get many openings in the ACC with how good Clemson has been over the years to go out and win an ACC title. These last 2 years, NC State has had some openings. They haven't been able to get it done. They return almost everybody from both sides of the ball. The amount of experience they return is insane. A lot of people like this team. This is going to be a good one before we get into it. Again, thank you guys for all the support. The support means a lot. So if you guys do like the content, you like talking ball, consider subscribing to the channel, like the video, leave a comment on what you guys think will happen in this game. We really do appreciate it. It does mean a lot to the fellas. Let's start talking some ball. I want to start with this Texas Tech team, just because I think a lot of people don't know too much about them. The Texas Tech team that's had a couple tough years, but quietly are a talented team and a team that can make some noise, not only in the Big 12, but going on the road against a top ACC team. I think this game will be more competitive than people think. I want to start with the quarterback, Donovan Smith, who flashed. What you want to see from him is he got to take care of the ball better. Texas Tech played a sloppy game. They had missed kicks, slipped on a 4th and short to extend a drive, 3 interceptions from Donovan Smith, and they still were able to beat a bona fide, legit top 25 team in Houston, a team that Houston I really liked. I actually liked Houston in that game last week against Texas Tech. Was wrong about it. This Texas Tech team is good and showing the ability to go beat a team of the ilk of Houston, a legit top 25 team, in my opinion, playing sloppy, playing ugly football, and they got it done. That shows you a lot about Texas Tech. And one of the big question marks was quarterback. Donovan Smith takes over after Tyler Shuck gets injured. He's looked pretty good. He looked really good taking over against who they play in week 1. I believe Murray State. Looked very good. 16 of 18, 4 touchdowns. Pretty easy to look good there. He looked good at times against Houston, who can really get after the passer. They have some guys in the back end who can make plays on the football. Texas Tech answered the biggest question mark I have, which is who's going to step up at wide receiver. You look at the guys they lost last year. Eric Ezukanma. He was a guy that I loved in the draft process. He was the alpha. He was the wide receiver 1 for Texas Tech. When they needed a big play, they went to him. He's gone. Who's going to step up? And we kind of said it's kind of going to be by committee, and it really has been. I mean, the amount of guys that caught balls last week against Houston, Price, Martinez, Bradley, all with 6-5 catches. A bunch of guys can hurt you on this Texas Tech offense. They kind of answered that question. There's not going to be a singular guy who steps up in that Texas Tech offense as a pass catcher. It's going to be a committee, and they seem like they have a lot of guys that can hurt opposing defenses. Their running back, I think Taj Brook is one of the more underrated running backs in the country. I didn't know he was 230 pounds. He does not look 5'10", 230. He's a stout, muscular, built dude with thick legs. I didn't think he was 5'10". I certainly didn't think he was 230 pounds. He runs the ball really hard, but he does move like a smaller back, can make people miss in open space. I like this offense. If Donovan Smith can use his legs effectively and efficiently and not just I think he tries to take his eyes down and run a little too much, in my opinion. But if he can use his legs just to extend plays, to get the ball to those playmakers on the outside, I do like this Texas Tech offense. Unfortunately for them, they are going up against a buzzsaw of a defense. You look at this NC State defense, a team that I really liked last year. Last year, I was banging the table for how good I thought those linebackers were in summer scouting. I mean, guys like Peyton Wilson, Drake Thomas, Isaiah Moore. 2 of those guys got hurt, and Drake Thomas stepped up and was one of the best, if not the best linebacker in the ACC last year. All those guys coming back, very good defensive line, a veteran group at the back end. This NC State team, it's hard to find defenses in the country that are as complete as NC State is. I mean, all 3 levels of the defense, you really like the talent that they have, and you've seen it. I mean, looking about how dominant this defense was throughout the year, 266 total yards allowed through the first 2 games. They obviously rolled, I believe, Charleston Southern in week 2, but looked really good against an explosive ECU team week 1 on the road, which is a tough matchup. What I'm more concerned with about this NC State team is the offense. Main question mark was Devin Leary, also losing his wide receiver 1. Who is going to step up? Not really anybody has. I mean, you see Tyre Thomas leading the team with 6 catches for 72 yards. There hasn't really been an alpha to step up. I thought it might have been Devin Carter. I believe he only has like 4 catches for 50 yards on the season. I think he's a talented guy. I mean, really big, but he hasn't really made the plays he needs to make that really unlock this NC State team. And Devin Leary's looked a little pedestrian without his main wide receivers. The run game against ECU kind of lackluster. If you remember both those goal line possessions where they just could not punch the ball in, I was surprised about the lack of physicality you saw on that offense line. I think it's a good offense line. They have probably 3 guys who will be playing on Sundays in the future years. They just weren't really able to run the ball consistently. Losing guys like Ricky Pearson, Van Knight obviously hurts them. This is a game that you are going to learn a lot about both teams. Texas Tech going on the road, I believe 10.5-point underdogs. If I'm making a pick, I like Texas Tech to be within a touchdown here. Do I think they'll go on the road and beat NC State at 7 o'clock at night in Raleigh? No, I probably don't. I think Texas Tech makes this a game. I would probably take Texas Tech to cover 10.5. But again, this is a game that I'm probably watching more as a fan and just learning a little bit about each of these teams. NC State, they had a tough opening week against ECU. Honestly, probably should have lost that game. Did not play their best football, but they were able to go on the road and get it done against an ECU team that is very good. Texas Tech, on the other hand, also 2-0. Sloppy at times, but also really good at times. They had a really good first half against Houston, not so much in the second half when he turned the ball over 3 times. Can Texas Tech compete in the Big 12? You're going to find that out, I think. You're going to find a lot about that against NC State. And can NC State be a legit contender in the ACC? If they are, they should take care of Texas Tech. They should be able to win this game at home. Those are the kind of games that NC State dropped last year. Wake Forest on the road last year. Probably should have won that game. Didn't make it happen. You also think about that Mississippi State game. They just played bad football. They can't afford to do that against Texas Tech because the Red Raiders are a team that they're good enough to beat you on the road. NC State needs to bring it. And I just want to see that offense with Devin Leary, who is supposed to be the ACC Player of the Year. I want to see him step up a little bit more, be more of a consistent pocket passer. I get it. Like the first 2 weeks has been a little growing pains. I mean, some of his best receivers, some of his receivers he's most comfortable with are gone. So he needs to find some more guys. I would like to see the running game step up a little bit more, but this Texas Tech defense, they're no slouches. There's some guys I really like. Sean Merriweather at that linebacker spot is an absolute dog. Tyree Wilson, another guy that's on my NFL draft big board. You look at this dude, he looks like he should be playing on Sundays. A physical specimen. They can get after the passer. They can play tough in the passing game as well. I'm very excited to watch this game. I think it's going to be closer than most people think. And that's not necessarily a knock on this NC State team as much as it is people are sleeping on this Texas Tech Red Raiders team. Do I think they'll win? We'll see. I probably wouldn't put my money that they win this game. I do think it'll be within single digits. And so I'm probably taking Texas Tech plus 10.5, looking at that over under 55.5. You're going to find a lot about this NC State offense and this Texas Tech defense. If NC State can move the ball on them a lot, you're probably not as confident on this Texas Tech defense. I am pretty confident. I think it's going to be a relatively low-scoring game. NC State's not going to want to air it out as much because of how good this defense is. They're going to want to play kind of more possession, let that defense take over games because NC State, bona fide top 10 defense in the country. Texas Tech, they're going to try to push the ball a little bit more, try to hit some more explosive plays, spread you out. I'm excited to see if the secondary for NC State can hold up. This one is going to be a very good one. Appreciate you guys. That'll do it for me on this game. 10.5 for Texas Tech, probably, but this is a game that I'm not rushing to bet. This is a game that will certainly be on my monitor. Again, we talked about it. I got 3 monitors. I picked the 3 best games at the time slate. This one's going to be on the monitor. This is a very good game with 2 teams that I really liked in the offseason when I was digging into them. Excited to watch it. Again, I appreciate both fans, the Wolfpack fans, the Red Raider fans. Appreciate you guys checking us out. If you do like the content, again, consider subscribing to the channel. We love talking ball with you guys in the comment section as well. And we'll talk to y'all later. Peace. Peace.